Let's do it now. Justin Dunk joins us, the owner, operator of 3DownNation.com, CFL's top insider. Justin, it really seems to me as we start a brand new week, this is the closest we are to the CFL playing games in 2020. Have I read that right?
Dare I say there might be some optimism, Roddy, especially with the memo that came out over the weekend. The CFL sent it to the CFLPA and laid out a number of conditions that could potentially lead to a hub city model. So I'm with you. It does seem like it's the closest we've been in a long time during the pandemic.
How do you feel about the 6-game season proposal? I believe we're all in agreement that some games are better than none. If Major League Baseball can do 60, I don't see how the CFL couldn't make it go with 6. But what are your thoughts on that and then the proposal itself?
Well, some games are better than no games at all, guys, but I've been working on tracking down and sort of connecting the dots here as to why we had for a while talked about 9 or even 8 games, and then now the 6-game idea comes out. And I haven't locked it down, but there's a big missing piece here, I believe, that hopefully here shortly I'll get confirmed. And I think it has to do with the TSN TV deal. So that's about as much as I can say about it right now. But essentially, that 6-game schedule would allow the CFL to get on the field and save some expenses, let's say, instead of playing 8 or 9 games potentially.
Okay, well, so this is how I read it. And it's funny you say piecing things together because I'm doing the same. I'd heard they were going to play. I heard it was going to be a single hub. I heard it was going to be Winnipeg. And by the way, I'm not moving off that. I do believe it'll be a single hub of Winnipeg. And as far as the TV money goes, if the salaries are all prorated, I would think the TV revenue will be prorated as well. I don't think that's as big a deal as who's going to foot the tab for all of this? That, to me, was the missing piece, Justin. And in the proposal to the players, which you posted at 3Down, it's the federal government. And it almost sounds to me like it's a go. Or am I getting ahead of myself? Or is the CFL getting ahead of itself that the federal government will foot the tab for the 6-game season in a bubble city?
Potentially, we might be getting a little ahead of ourselves here because what the CFL is wanting to do is get the money from the federal government to pay the players. They're going to make the argument that just like a number of people throughout the country in businesses that have essentially been stopped or have their revenue dramatically affected like the CFL, that they went and were put on the CERB or some of the other government programs and their employees were paid. Now, employees within the CFL have been on that program, or some of the government programs, I should say, but the players haven't yet qualified for any of that money. So I think that's the way the CFL is going to go about it, is essentially taking care of their own expenses. I've heard it's between $2 and $3 million to go into a hub city model per team. That depends on who you talk to, though, because there are other teams who feel like they can do it cheaper, and that doesn't include the player costs. So if the CFL can get the player salaries covered by the Canadian government, I really believe that's going to be the X factor. And there's a solid argument there that the CFL has that they should be covered because everyone knows Justin Trudeau has paid a lot of people who've been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic.
By the way, Justin, all kinds of viewership reaction coming in. Leo Esrins is watching in Hamilton, as you know, the executive director of the Alumni Association, CFL Alumni. He says, missing piece, players are paid a great deal less for playoff games as it stands now. So hang on to that. Kent Ridley watching from Ridley Scouting, and he's in the United States. He says 8 games seems doable over September and October with the Grey Cup held in November, just without the parties. Well, that's what they're talking about. Even a 6-game season, they're talking about kicking off in late September. But Leo's hit on it. Paying the players. How many times in life have we heard about any industry? Oh, it's doable. It just costs money. So the big key is, where is the money coming from? And paying the players obviously is one, but you look at the NBA, for instance. I had a coach call me the other day from the States and said the NBA cost of just operating their bubble is $1.5 million a day. Now, listen, they're not staying at the Astoria Waldorf Orlando in the CFL. They're staying, at the Best Western University. But still, there's still a cost. So is that the biggest stumbling block? I guess maybe that's the road we should go down. What are the stumbling blocks to getting on the field here for the CFL?
Well, it's going to be the CBA, to be quite honest. I think that if they can get that federal government money, as I mentioned, to cover the players' salaries, that it seems like there is, dare I say, a general consensus among the Board of Governors and the owners that they would want to get on the field. I think the real key here, though, is the risk factor. How risky do they deem it to even try and start up? Because I don't believe that the CFL can afford to get games going and then have to, heaven forbid, pause partway through the season and call it all off. So it's an all or nothing proposition to me. If they start, they're going to want to finish because they're going to want to have that investment at least pay off in some way in terms of getting to a Grey Cup. And, the point that was brought up about the playoff revenue is direct and pointed. I think that makes a lot of sense. When you look at the 6-game season, right, you're taking 2 or 3 weeks potentially of salary away from the players because what they get in the playoffs is essentially just playoff bonuses from the wins, as you guys well know. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of going from 9 or 8 games to 6, where the CFL says, okay, we can still get on the field, we can cut some of our costs, and we can have increased revenue potentially in the playoffs and create another round there that maybe TSN would like to get on TV of sudden death action.
Yeah, and they hope maybe by late fall we could actually have people in the stands. But this is going to take a major amount of concessions from the players just to get on the field. I think the league is banking on the fact that players will go along with this, and I think you and I would agree. We hope that they do. In the minute that we have left, Justin, what else are you working on at 3Down?
Well, like I said, that big key detail that I'm hoping to come out with could be honestly major in terms of the leverage to play. And what I've heard about the initial proposal that the CFL has sent over the players is that it's really largely based a lot on using COVID-19 as a leverage point to change 2021 and future years of the deal. A lot of players aren't happy about that. They just want to focus on 2020 as it is and getting on the field with all of the laundry list of things that you have to agree to even get to that point. So that has been sent over the players. And from what I've been told, it includes the idea of potentially a $4 million salary cap. Of course, that would be well down from the $5 million plus that it's at right now. But to me, that's a starting point in bargaining talks from the league. I could see somewhere where it gets settled, in the $4.8 million range, where you essentially chop off $500,000 like you did with the football ops staff. But there's still a lot of negotiating to be done here in a short period of time with that July 23rd deadline looming from the league.
All right, Justin, outstanding update. I appreciate it. We'll let you get back to work. Thanks for this, my friend. We'll chat by the end of the week.
Sounds good, guys. Stay safe.
3DownNation's Justin Dunk. It is the number one source for CFL information, 3downnation.com.